Heads. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin.
And it's time. It's time for the Gold Plus Roundup.
Woohoo!
You've waited for it and asked for it. Some of you asked for it. I hope you're enjoying this. Putting us through playing all of the free games for Games with Gold and PlayStation Plus. Mm-hmm. And we play them and dig into them before the month is over so we can tell you what to get and what to pass up on.
And we're all looking to prioritize our time, and we're hoping that by listening to us, you'll know which of these is worth your time. Yeah. Because now that they have Plus and Gold is required for multiplayer. I mean, pretty much, I would say that most of the people that have next gen consoles,
most people have it,
are going to have this, and so these games are available to you. But some of them are not worth your time. And so hopefully with this, you'll be able to hear about the game or two or three that come out during this time that are worth your time. Yeah. Go check them out.
Yeah, and so you won't miss out on games. One game that you can miss out on, though, the first one on our list, for Xbox One, Numa Breath of Life.
Tell me about Numa Breath of Life.
Numa Breath of Life is, to me, it was so hopeful on this because it was almost like playing Myst, and a lot of the it had the potential of being a new next generation Myst. The only problem is that first of all, the game glitches out more than most games that I've played, which is really surprising. I got stuck in completely and it was not because of a problem-solving thing or whatever. It was a game-breaking, you cannot pass this any further, and the narrator, who is you, doesn't say anything further, doesn't tell you what to do. A restart, and then everything worked. So twice that happened. The game could have been so much better. It's decent on the effects for an indie game, but by that I mean that it's around what a PC game was around 2007 or 2008. It's not, of course, a console that good. But also the thing that makes it even worse is the narrator's trying to be charming, and he comes off as pretentious. And it's really, really irritating. This really fell flat, and when I booted it up, I thought it was going to be so much better than it was. And I'm sorry, but if you wanted to see what it was like, go for it, but don't feel bad about missing this one at all. Okay. Don't feel bad.
All right. Next up, we have Walking Dead Season 2, which was free on PS4 for PlayStation Plus. And I actually liked this season better than the first one. I bought the first season at one point when it was on sale. And Lee was interesting, but I felt like there was too much of a lawful good character to him. Yeah. Like, I almost felt obligated. I have to do this thing.
They wanted you to play that way.
Yeah. And there's also the in season 1, and I think I've talked about this on the show, but in season 1 there's one point where Lee had to do something. He had to sabotage his hosts the first day he was there because somebody had a weird feeling. I know it's a video game, and I was like, okay, obviously this is what advances the story, but the fact that was the only reason I was doing this completely took me out of that. So I never finished season 1, and season 2 starts with characters I assume Clementine met in season 1. So I didn't really have a whole lot of connection to the characters. But Clementine is actually really interesting. Clementine's awesome. And I like her better than I liked Lee. Yeah. Especially now, because at the very beginning of season 1, because you meet her at the very beginning of season 1, she's like, "Oh, I'm helpless. Show me what to do." And by the time you get to season 2, she's learned to shoot. She's killed. Depending on your choices in season 1, she has killed her mentor. Spoilers for season 1. Sorry about that. But yeah, so by the time you get to season 2, she's starting to kind of walk the balance between survival, doing what she has to do, and still being somewhat of a child. Yeah. Because there are elements where she'll reach a situation, there is some naivety there, and that was interesting because it was a good dynamic. There's something that happens at the midway through episode 1 that she trusts an individual that I don't think she should have, because she feels like, oh well, this is just this situation. Walking Dead season 2, I think, moved up. I think they've stepped up their game and they've moved into a more interesting character and a more interesting set of choices, because I feel like there's now a legitimate set of choices.
Yeah.
And there are some situations where when you say the sarcastic thing, it doesn't progress as if you didn't. You can reject friendships. You can say, I don't want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
And the game actually respects that choice, where I don't feel like it did in the first season.
No, it didn't. They wanted you to play a specific way. They wanted you to play a specific archetype, or people don't trust you.
Yeah.
As opposed to, like, when I played season 1, I tried to lie, and
nobody bought it because you were lawful good. You can't lie.
Yeah.
And Clem has some deception to her.
Yeah.
And she will occasionally be like, "Oh, I'm just a little girl,"
which is awesome. That's a great card
and
to play.
She will use that.
Yeah.
Which is really grown up of her, and I felt like that made me more attached to her, because I can respect that. I can respect the crap out of that, because you're trying to survive.
Yeah.
And so, season 2, Walking Dead season 2.
Pick it up.
Yeah, go ahead and do
Really,
that. Check that out.
Pick it up. Don't pick up Dirt 3 for the Xbox 360. This game was exactly what I thought it was going to be. It is repetitive. If anyone ever paid full price for this, I am very sorry. There are certain games that have... Rocket League is a great example of this. I am not a soccer guy. I am not a race car fan. I'm not a fan of either one of those games, but mashing it up the right way worked. Another one is Trials HD on the Vita. I think I've played that game more than most games that I've played on my Vita.
Yeah. I'm
not a motocross guy, but the game was really well done. This was... the controls were kind of clunky. It's this trying to hit the in-between of an arcade racer versus like the Forza style really simulation.
Yeah.
It didn't know where in the middle it fell, and it was just boring. And if you can't hook someone on that, then that's really sad, because you should be able to, even if you're not a fan going in, games need to be able to hook you from the get-go. If you've already booted the game up, it needs to get you. And if you sink 3 or 4 hours into a game and you're not having fun, it's time to turn it off. And this game, off. Done. Okay. Deleted.
If you do have 3 or 4 hours to sink into, Magicka 2 for the PS4, It is a really complicated game, and the controls are crazy, and it just throws you into the deep end. It's like, hey, you have the 4 face buttons, and then you hold L1 and you get 4 more face buttons.
Okay.
And then with each of those, after you've activated a sequence, then you have 4 options of how to cast it. You can cast it on yourself, you can cast it forward, you can cast it in an arc.
That's how sorry, I don't mean to interject. That's how Final Fantasy is. That's how they tried to get around the whole, how do you put a PC MMO onto console? That's how they do it. You have 4 face buttons, then you hold this down, you've got 4 more options, you hold this down as well, you go...
Yeah. Final Fantasy?
Yeah,
which one?
Final Fantasy 14.
Oh, okay, 14.
Yeah,
gotcha.
The whole MMO bit. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, because I just gave me flashbacks of that. It is complicated.
Yeah,
it is
complicated. And so on top of the complicated control scheme, they also have you mixing and matching. Like you can do like a fire shield, or you can do a regeneration with dark magic, or you can do.
That's cool.
There's so many things you can do. After I got about. It took me, honestly, about 2 hours to really get a feel for it, and to have a couple of standbys that I would use. And there's also, if you're wet and you try to start charging a lightning spell, it just zaps the crap out of you and you die.
Oh, that's great.
And it's like those elements are so much fun, and like you're running around trying to like you'll fight two enemies. They had a Ornstein and Smoke, Dark Souls people. They had an Ornstein and Smoke fight where one person was vulnerable to one thing, one person was vulnerable to another thing, and I also had to defend against two different elements at the same time while they're throwing all this stuff at me, and it's really hard, but it's really fun.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to try the multiplayer. I really wanted to try that before this episode came out, but multiplayer seems like where that game would really, really shine.
Yeah.
Because not only can I, craft my spell and throw it, but I can mix it with your spell, and I can throw darkness while you throw lightning, and then I throw death and you throw, and it just seems like so much fun. And then the storytelling itself is really interesting because it's a vampire guy who's maybe a good guy. I don't know. He's a jerk, but he's funny. And so like it doesn't take itself too seriously, and there is a fairly like they give you an automatic respawn once, and then you can resurrect your familiar, and like there's a lot of balancing things, and it gets really, really complicated really, really fast. But if you're willing to throw an hour or two at it, it can be a really, really satisfying experience.
Yeah. Especially multiplayer.
Yes, and multiplayer especially. Yeah. So Magicka 2.
Pick it up. Another great one for multiplayer is Dungeon Siege 3. This one I played a while back, as well as diving into it a little bit here. Dungeon Siege 3 is a really cool... It's very much like Diablo and Torchlight and Path to Exile. There's a lot of fun stuff in this game. It's even better in if you're playing with more than one person. But I'd pick this up if you're a fan of any of those. The gameplay can get a little bit repetitive, but it gives you enough of a carrot on a stick to keep going in regards to the story.
It has like the loot cycle and stuff, right? And
yes, it does, which is another reason to hook you. So pick it up, especially if you've got someone else to play with. Couch co-op's awesome. Anytime couch co-op is in one of these games, I'm all for it. It's something that needs to be... They really need to have more games that have this. On the other end of the spectrum, though, Mass Effect 2 is also offered up this month. Yeah. If you've not played Mass Effect yet, you need to play this series. Mass Effect 2, you can even start here. There's enough context clues that it will give you to get you on the jumping start. This is my first one.
Yeah, there's also a lot of mechanical advances between Mass Effect 1 and 2 that really helped.
Yes. Mass Effect 1 story is great. The Mass Effect 2 story is great as well, but the gameplay is a lot better. This was actually my first Mass Effect game. I didn't play 1 until after I played 2, but there are enough clues and context clues and story things that you can kind of piece together. Oh, that was the bad guy there. Oh, I guess I did this. That was good. Very quickly, you'll see that, and they do a really good job of if you haven't played it yet, you get enough from the character to say, oh yeah, that's apparently an old friend of mine. This is good. I'm glad that it's him and whatever. Pick this up even if you haven't played Mass Effect 1. Play this game. Try it out because it's great. The gameplay is really good, especially for it to be a third-person shooter RPG. Strange mashup, which has worked so well for this franchise. Go pick it up because 2 is better than 3. And that'll make sense to you later. Go ahead.
Next up we have Invisimals on Vita. And I'm going to go ahead and call Sony out on this one.
Yeah.
Don't do this ever again.
Bad.
Okay, Invisimals, I tried to play. I couldn't. Yep. Because it has a physical component that shipped with it. It was originally a PSP game that came with a physical target that you were supposed to put on things, and it's a.
They're like the AR cards for 3DS, right?
Yeah. And so like it. Maybe it's an interesting idea. I don't know.
I can't tell.
Because like basically, and you can yell at me in the comments if you want. Apparently, I could have played this game. Like Reddit had a thread where it was like, "Hey, I figured out how to hack it. If you print this image, and cut it out, and then cut out the part in the middle, you'll be able to play this game." And I was like, No.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
You gave me, you chose a game that I have to do physical work to create. I have to make half of this game.
Yeah.
No. No, that's not okay. And like, I understand that there are going to be some titles that they just kind of throw out there. No.
Yeah.
I'm not down with that.
Yeah.
And so, nope.
Yeah.
I cannot recommend or suggest that you stay away from this game. If you have the kind of time that you can go find a Reddit thread on Invisimals, on PSP, how to work around the system that they created, then you have way more time than I or anybody I know, and you are perfectly free to go find that. Tell me in the comments.
If you have that much time, you've played all the games that we're reviewing right now.
right. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna call Sony on this and say no, bad Sony.
That was a letdown.
Please don't do that.
That was a letdown. Another letdown was Beyond Good and Evil. Beyond Good and Evil, I don't know if it may be, I don't know the nostalgia bit of it. So this game came out in 2002. Bad. It's fun. It has a decent story, but this is a game that came out in 2002. Putting it up against everything else that's out, to me, I think it was hard for me to process that, because all the other games that I've been playing for the Roundup, as well as playing Fallout and Metal Gear Solid, and then jumping back and playing a game that came out 13 years ago with no nostalgia. It's not like jumping back and playing Mario. It's not like going back and playing Ocarina of Time or Final Fantasy VI, where you can forgive a lot of things because it was a different time. It's hard for me to forgive things because it was a different time when I didn't play it then. Certain games age well, certain ones don't. This didn't age poorly. It kind of gave me a little whiplash, I guess, in trying to play a game that old. So I'm gonna give it a meh score. It was good. It was just not what I was expecting. So you put me in the same group of people that don't like Ocarina of Time. I love Ocarina of Time, but some people don't like it. They're wrong.
Link to the Past is better.
I won't say better, but it's a good game.
It's okay. I said better.
You could say it, but you're wrong. But a good game that did come out was Night Squad for Xbox. Do enough research to say, oh, that game is good for this. Let me line up a time to do multiplayer. Because doing this single player, it's fun. It is very much like Towerfall Ascension. It's almost like it's like a top-down version of Towerfall Ascension, where there's a lot of fun multiplayer aspects that can happen on there. And when you're playing it single player, it's okay. But when you're playing multiplayer, it's a blast. I could see that when I played it, and then I looked up some multiplayer videos of people playing it, and it's. I wish I'd played multiplayer. Now I'm gonna have to play this multiplayer. We're gonna have to play this game.
Real quick question:
Yeah.
like, is it something that you feel like people, like a bunch of people who had never played, can just jump in and
Okay. The learning curve isn't too bad on this. You're gonna get. Obviously, if someone's been playing it for a while, then they're going to stomp people. But if you have a bunch of people who just jump in and have not played before, or mature players who are mature enough to give the people a learning curve, it doesn't take that long to get used to. But it's bonkers. Some of the little bits in there are kind of bonkers, which reminded me of. It's almost like mixing Rocket League with Towerfall, and that's really cool stuff. What?
All right.
Did he? Yeah.
Okay.
Play it.
Okay. I'm sold.
Yeah.
And then the last game on the PS Plus Roundup. PS Plus. Yeah. Bias.
Yeah. We came up with it. The Gold Plus Roundup.
Gold Plus Roundup is Dragonfin Soup. Came out for PS4 and Vita. I think it's on PS3 now, and it was one of the few cross-buy titles this month. Dragonfin Soup. I don't know if I can recommend. I've had a good time with it, but it's randomly generated, which creates a lot of problems. One of the first seed that I ever made, because like each one of them is based on a seed, and you
like
have
Minecraft.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or like Binding of Isaac.
Okay.
Where individual elements are curated, and this is how the level layout's going to be, or whatever.
I didn't realize Binding was that way. Yeah, okay, makes sense.
So with the random generation, you can have a really interesting thing. You can get some really OP stuff. On one of my playthroughs, I got a spell that allowed me to regenerate 3 HP every turn for the next 30 turns, which was awesome because, regen. But the problem is that there was a part, my first seed, I ended up with a town where there's the quest giver, and then there's the place where you leave on the quests. And it took me between a minute and a half to traverse between the two, because I would get to the portal. I would have to go all the way up into the corner, back over to the side, and then back down, and then into the thing. And on PS4, the load times are really not bad. On Vita, it's a little bit sluggish. But with that, I get back. All I'm doing is I'm turning a quest in, getting my reward, getting my new quest, going back out into the field, and that would take close to 5 minutes.
And so the town is procedurally generated as well. Everything is. Okay, because that's one thing that is a saving grace when it comes to the Diablo games. Is the towns? Mm-hmm. The towns are
properly and deliberately laid out.
Yes. Yes, so then you can jump in, go exactly where you need to go in town, and then get out. Because everything else is... Okay, I didn't realize that.
Another element that's difficult with the random creation of the levels is maybe... I ended up playing 3 different seeds. So I haven't gotten too far into the story, but I feel like between those 3, I got a pretty good idea of how the game plays. On my second seed... I came upon a mission. It was an escort mission. It was like, hey, I'm getting married and I'm having a super special meeting with my fiance. Take me out to this dangerous place in the woods and escort me to our special tree. I'm like, okay, why is your special tree surrounded by monsters and ghouls and things that I know would kill you because they kill the crap out of me?
How did you get there with your fiance all the time?
Did
you meet the fiance? Is the fiance this
No, I didn't. Amazing? I didn't. I could not finish this mission.
Okay. I was going to say maybe the fiance is just this amazing
because it was 3 layers deep, and I got to the 3rd level, and I think that all the enemies spawned right next to the portal. And so I was able to. It's a turn-based game that moves kind of in real time, because like if you just walk, every space equals a turn.
Okay.
Which is really cool, and I like that. It made combat interesting. It allowed me to think about my next move, but if I'm just wandering around exploring, it didn't take forever. You're able to see all the monsters. I liked it. But there's some game-breaking stuff that I just wasn't able to deal with, because there's a couple of enemies that are really, really deadly at range. And so I pop into the 2nd level of this 3-level mission, and there were 4 of those enemies in range of the beginning of the level. And there's a couple of wandering enemies in that area. I was not able to reach, hit, and retreat. And in the time that I had, I was able to come in, make 4 moves, and then jet, barely escaping with my life. And so that mission, I wasn't able to beat it because I couldn't go to level 2, go hit an enemy and retreat without dying.
So you had to restart to a new seed, right? Or did you just...
Well, at that one, I abandoned the mission, and I told her, look, I hope you and your fiance are very happy. I hope he's alive somewhere.
Bye.
You're on your own. But I do have to compliment them, because the protagonist is really, really awesome. She's Red Robin. She's amnesiac because RPGs.
It makes it really convenient.
She's also literally a raging alcoholic.
That's awesome.
Your main source of healing.
Not that I condone that. I just mean that it's awesome.
In the game.
That it's in the game.
So your main source of healing in combat is alcohol. but it also builds up your rage meter.
That's
and
awesome.
if you get too far into the rage, then you'll lose control of her for about 10 turns, and she'll just go around stabbing wildly at things. And
I like that.
she was really fun. There's also a guy, I think his name is Rin, and he's wandering around in a green tunic, and he says things like, "Do you need saving? I have a shield. I am the hero. I never blink."
I wonder who that's supposed to be.
Yeah, that dude was hilarious. So like, it's a very self-aware game, and it has some really charming qualities, and I like the setup. I just wish that they had been a little bit more careful with crafting.
Yeah.
The generation of levels, and if they had laid out the town in a manner that was efficient and convenient.
Yeah. So if they had an actual static layout like
for the main town.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really interesting things about this. The other problem I ran into with the game is the crafting system.
Yeah.
You have, I think it's 100 slots in your inventory, and there were items that I found a recipe for that had 10 pieces that you had to collect to make a thing. To make a hat, you had to have 10 different pieces to create a hat.
That's a fail.
And I don't know, maybe it would have been better if there was better support online.
Yeah.
I think they expected people to jump in and fill in the wiki or whatever.
Okay.
And because they don't really help you with the crafting system. That was never explained. The magic system is never explained.
Yeah.
And if there had been an online community that jumped in, like there are with a lot of games.
Sure. It's also really early on for the game. I mean,
yeah, but I've continued to check, and it was free.
Yeah.
Now, I was not able to find a single page in the wiki with content. If your game has been out for a week and it's been free on PS Plus and there is no content there, that is on you. Grimm Brothers should have jumped in at that point and started filling out those wikis. Because
people need help with this kind of stuff.
You've created a really interesting game, but if I can't play it and I can't figure it out, I'm not going to stick around.
Yeah. I've looked up stuff on Fallout in regards to like, okay, how do I what does this actually do? There's
vegetable starch.
Vegetable starch. Well, another one going, okay, hold on. Someone said something about building a radio. How do I build a radio? Or there was one of the ones that was a scrap something shelf. It's a shelf, a cabinet that I thought, does this scrap stuff for me? No, it randomly will generate every couple days some resources.
Yeah.
So,
and you have to assign somebody to it.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And I had to look up how to assign people because the game didn't tell me how to do that. Now,
do you have a bell?
No.
Build a bell.
Build the bell.
Because they wander all over the place and you can't tell where they are. And
so
if you ring the bell, then they will come to you.
And then I can tell that person, go do that. So that's the cool thing about online communities. So
also this podcast.
Yes, we tell you stuff and you can tell us stuff and then we share that kind of stuff. The internet is fun.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So if it going back to Dragonfin Soup, if it had the kind of community and the outreach and the communication that is going on in a lot of games today, I think this game could have been a lot more forgivable.
Yeah.
But because of that, and because random generation was allowed to run rampant, I can't actually recommend this game.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. But yeah, if it is definitely worth a look if you're into RPGs that make fun of themselves and other RPGs. Yeah. So I'll keep playing that, and I initially loved it, then I hated it.
Yep.
Now I kind of like it.
Yeah.
So if in 2 months you hear me say, hey, go back and try Dragonfin Soup. Here's a good seed, which I might do because I'm going to keep looking and see if I can find a seed that really works for this game. So yeah, if that really happens in a couple of months, I will let you know.
Yes, we will. So let us know in the comments where there are certain ones in this month that you thought were really great or weak entries. Do you disagree with any of let us know in the comments. And Facebook, you can Facebook message us for more for viewer mail or whatever you'd like. We'll probably respond to it either on there or on the show.
Or both.
Or both, if you're lucky. You can be lucky. Have a good one, guys.
And you also have some story options that are, I'm going to put that hand down because I've just been holding it out there gesturing.
He doesn't know what to do with his hands.
No.